Hey guys, it's Christina of CraftyPaws. I wanted to share with you guys a process video on how I made this clean and simple birthday card for P's mom, whose name is Red, her 80th birthday. And P has a challenge giveaway going on right now, asking folks to make her mom a clean and simple, or CAS, card for her birthday. And I'm going to link in the description box below the challenge video so you can get all the details for yourself. But I wanted to share with you guys how I made this cast card with this new stamp set that I picked up. It's called Hello Gorgeous, and it's an Essentials by Ellen stamp set. And I decided I was going to use the Sparkle On, since I thought that sparkle on, kind of keep on going sentiment was great for a birthday. And I used a variety of these gem stamps with some embossing powder. This is the Platinum Opaque Sparkle and Sprinkle Extra Fine Embossing Powder. And I also used the Happy Birthday stamp from the old Well Scripted stamp set. I love this swirly font, and I used that for the inside. And then I added color to the card using my watercolor pencils. This is the basic set. So I hope you enjoy the process video. Thanks for watching. So first I'm prepping the card front with my EK Tools powder tool, and that takes off the static. And that is the stamp set that I'm using by Essentials by Ellen. And I'm just positioning on my stamping block the sentiment Sparkle On. The words are all separate. I'm using Versamark ink to get the embossing ink down. And you'll see that my embossing pad, that ink pad, is a little splotchy, but it doesn't affect the ability to stamp the embossing ink at all. And I'm just using some of the gem stamps to stamp out different gems. I'm clustering a couple around the sentiment, and then I'm also putting one on the upper left corner. And I think that asymmetrical positioning creates a nice balance. Now I'm putting on the embossing powder, and I'm tapping off the excess into a coffee filter. Any stray little specks I'm just brushing off with a dry paintbrush, and I'm capturing all of the excess back into the jar. I've heated up my heat tool a little bit without going onto the paper, and then I'm heating it from the back as well as from the front. That really helps prevent too much warping of the paper, and you can see the embossing magic happening as it heats up that embossing powder, and it's so beautiful. I love embossing so much. It's so beautiful and so magical to me. Next, I'm repeating the process with the Happy Birthday stamp from the Well Scripted Stampin' Up stamp set, and I'm just trying to position it right in the upper kind of middle area of the inside of the card. Doing the same process. I'm also putting in a little gem in the lower right-hand corner. I thought that would be a nice little extra touch for the inside of the card. And I am capturing the excess and heating it again from the back and the front. Now, because I was afraid that watercolor paper would make my stamping uneven, I used plain cardstock to do all of the stamping for the card front and the card base. And because of that, I decided not to use my Tim Holtz Distress markers and instead use the Prima watercolor pencils. And it gives the similar watercolory look that I really wanted for these gems, but without having, too difficult a time of blending. Because sometimes with the Tim Holtz Distress markers, if you're trying to get that watercolored look, it doesn't blend totally well on plain cardstock. It does much better on a more textured surface like watercolor paper. So I made this choice deliberately using the watercolor pencils on the plain cardstock, and I think it worked out really well. I use a Pentel water brush, but obviously you could use just a plain small paintbrush, and I'm wiping off the water brush between each color, and sometimes also when I want to make sure that part of the gem is a light color or has no color, and I blend into where the watercolor pencil lines are, the coloring is, and that gives a nice kind of ombre look in each of the facets of the gems. And I chose these color specifically because P said her mom Red doesn't like certain colors like yellow or pink. So I chose a pale blue, a red. Those are two colors that she said she did really like, and I thought that could represent like aquamarine or ruby or sapphire. And then later on, you'll also see that I did a combo of two green colors. Oh, this next one is a darker blue. So this one is supposed to be more like a sapphire or something like that. And it's really one of the easiest ways to get that watercolor look. And it has such great control. You know, if you're coloring with color pencils, you know exactly where the color is going and there's not much bleeding. And then you can take a fine water brush like this and get a great kind of painterly look. And the embossing actually helps you stay kind of within the lines with the water brush. So I think this is one of the best techniques to do really simple but beautiful cards. Now for this last gem, I was hoping to make kind of a citrine or emerald colored gem. And the green that I had from the Basics Primo watercolor pencil set was kind of more of a forest green. So I decided I needed to add a lighter tone. So I had kind of a summer green that I added. And that seemed to work really well. I blended the two together with my water brush and it kind of created a really pretty kind of citrine green color gem that I thought added a nice sparkle. The only other tip I wanted to share is that you'll notice that when I color each gem with the color pencils, I only color one side of each facet, and that allows me to blend out with a water brush in the rest of each facet. Now originally I thought the card would be done at this point, but it looked too plain, so I decided to take my Clear Star Jelly Roll pen. It's a Sakura pen and it's one of my favorites and it adds a great sparkle. It's a little bit more opaque than Wink of Stella and it's great to add in little extra bits like circles or dots like I'm doing here. I kind of put dots randomly around the sentiment and each of the gems. This is a technique that I learned from Julia Alterman, and I think it worked out perfectly here. It added just the right amount of extra little sparkle, and because I added the dots kind of in this pattern of outreaching kind of rays or branches, it really added some nice visual movement too. And then lastly, just for a little extra interest and dimension, I'm adding double-sided foam adhesive to the back of the card front, and I'm cutting these in strips. I usually do that because I don't want to waste too much of the double-sided foam adhesive, and I'm just spreading it out throughout the back of this card front. And then I'm just going to make sure I position it properly and centered on the front of the card base. If you enjoyed this process video, please give it a thumbs up, and thanks for watching.